Let's look at how to analyze semi-structured interviews in qualitative research. I'm going to use NVivo and the inductive approach to thematic analysis. In this video, I'm going to help you go from semi-structured interviews such as this to a complete and well-visualized findings report like this. The only way we move from having raw data, such as semi-structured interviews, to a cohesive and well-organized findings report made up of themes, sub-themes, codes, and participant statements is by taking time to analyze and look for a pattern of shared meaning in semi-structured interview data. Now, there are a couple of decisions you need to make so that you can move from semi-structured interviews to a findings report. These decisions include the approach of data analysis that you are going to take and the tool that you're going to use to analyze data. One of the most common ways of analyzing qualitative data is using thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is a qualitative research method that involves identifying, analyzing, and interpreting patterns of meaning in data. There are two main approaches to thematic analysis, which are inductive and deductive thematic analysis. The inductive approach to thematic analysis involves deriving themes from qualitative data without any preconceptions. That means that we dive into qualitative data such as semi-structured interview transcripts and formulate codes, sub-themes, and themes from what the data provides. We do not come with preconceived ideas. The second main approach to thematic analysis is deductive approach. The deductive approach to thematic analysis involves developing a predetermined set of themes and sub-themes and then diving into the qualitative data to look for codes to match with the predetermined set of themes and sub-themes. If you want to go into detail on the inductive and deductive approaches to thematic analysis, watch my previous video titled Inductive and Deductive Thematic Analysis, Step by Step. There will be a link in the description. In this video, I'm going to analyze semi-structured interviews through the inductive approach. This means that we are going to dive into the data and allow the data to inform the formulation of our codes, sub-themes, and themes. We are simply going to look at a pattern of shared meaning in the data to come up with codes, and then look for a pattern of shared meaning among the code to come up with sub-themes, and finally look for a pattern of shared meaning among the sub-themes to come up with the main themes. Let's consider the second major decision in analyzing semi-structured interviews, which is the tool that I'm going to use to analyze the data. For this video, I'm going to use the manual word-by-word coding option in NVivo because I want the highest quality of codes and I also want to have sub-themes and themes. As previously stated, I will be using the inductive approach of thematic analysis to analyze my semi-structured interviews. One of the most popular approaches to conducting inductive thematic analysis is the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis, which includes familiarization with the data, generating initial codes, generating initial themes, reviewing potential themes, defining and naming themes, and finally producing the report. Now, let's follow the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis to analyze two semi-structured interviews for the study titled Evaluating the Importance of Parental Engagement in a Large English Primary School. Remember, my objectives are to determine what parental engagement means to teachers, to highlight the most effective forms of parental engagement, to determine whether teachers prioritize parental engagement, to evaluate the benefits of strong parental engagement in schools, to evaluate the challenges associated with strong parental engagement in schools, to determine the main barriers of increased parental engagement in schools, to highlight examples of training and guidance teachers have received in relation to parental engagement. Now, the first step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for conducting thematic analysis is familiarizing with the transcripts. In this case, I only have two transcripts. I would open this transcript and read through the transcript thoroughly, and the main point would be to try and contextualize the information and place it in the context of the research question, research study, and the research objectives. So I would try to understand the interviews, just reading through them one by one. These two interviews are what I will familiarize with before I move to the second step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis, which is generating initial codes. Let me interrupt this video for a minute and inform you of my services. My first type of service that I offer is consulting for anything related to qualitative data analysis using NVivo. You hop on a video call with me through Microsoft Teams or Zoom, and I will help you become a pro with NVivo in a few hours. I also provide a done-for-you data analysis service. I do the manual coding and provide a data analysis report with the necessary visuals. Some kind of visuals I do include tables, hierarchy charts, and the framework matrix. Email or message me right now, details in the description. For the purposes of this video, I'm using NVivo to track my analysis. Now, NVivo is one of the most reliable qualitative data analysis softwares. So I'm going to use NVivo, as you can see here. I'll just call this project Parental Engagement. Let's click next. And then in this area, I won't autosave the project because I might lose it. I will just use the manual or a save reminder every 10 minutes. Then we create the project. Now, I'm not going to waste a lot of time introducing NVivo and showing you the functionalities. I've done so in my previous videos, which I will link. All I want you to do is to know how to use the files and the code section, which is the only thing you need when you are conducting inductive thematic analysis. I'm in the file section. I'd go grab my two files which I want to analyze, drag and drop them inside NVivo. I can also import by going to import files and import these two files. Okay, so I have two transcripts. Now I'm going to start generating codes. For this video, I'm going to use the inductive approach, which means that the data will determine the codes and themes. I do not have a preconceived set of themes or codes that I will use for this study. The analysis that I'm going to conduct inductive is the one that's going to provide that. So let's go to codes and let's start generating some codes here. So I click on codes, I close that message, and let's go to the question. Remember, this is about parental engagement. Let's read here. People use the term parental engagement in lots of different ways. In your experience, what does it mean in school when people talk about parental engagement? For me, it means partnership between school and parents. I can code this as drag that statement and drop it here. I like voice typing, so I want to voice type partnership between school and parent. I want to paste this here. That's partnership between school and parents. Now, not just with the academic side of things, but with all the personal, social, and health, okay? So, I can say holistic partnership between school and parents. I drag, drop, then I paste that code. Creating a community if you like, so the school is the heart of the community. So this statement, I drag and drop it, creating a community with the school at the center of the community. So I have the first codes for this first question. Now, for this analysis, I want to show you how we can color code. We can track our codes using colors. For example, the first question here, we can right-click and create a new annotation for it and call this red. Now, when you call this red, I want to go to the codes and first let me even close the transcript. All these codes that came from the first question, I want to go to color and choose red. Look at what happened. I'm color coding this to be able to remember later. Remember the first question, the color code for it is red. So I know these codes came from the first question. This will allow me to manage my codes later as the codes increase. Let me do another question so that I can emphasize this point. Let's go to codes. Great. And in your view, what types of parental engagement are most effective? As we've alluded to, there's a lot of different ways it could be defined. So this question, I can go to create new annotation and call the second question green. It's just a color code. I'm assigning it green, okay? So all the codes I'm going to get here, they're going to be green. I want you to look at this. I think the most effective are the ones that have a strong purpose so the parents know why they are coming in. Obviously, some of our parents, school is a barrier. So I think some of more social community-based events that get parents through the door just for a coffee or a chat are really important. So the types of parental engagement that are the most effective include social and community-based events. So drag and drop that. Call this social and community-based event. Click OK. I want you to remember that the code, we want to give it the color blue. Remember, we color coded that as blue. Look at that color code. I want to get another code still in the same transcript for the same question. Okay, let's continue. Let me close this so that I can see better. As well as even things like phone calls. You see? So, phone call. I want to drag this and call this phone call. They are a type of parental engagement. I want to go to phone calls. And again, I want to close this because I want you to see the color. And color code that as blue. I know you are wondering why I'm using color codes. I'm using color codes because I don't want to mix up my codes in a way I'm not able to observe pattern of shared meaning. And the questions, although we are doing inductive thematic analysis, the questions will also play a significant role in the formation of themes and subthemes, as you'll see. Let's continue with this. Grabbing parents on the playground for informal chats about their children. So, having informal, in-person chats with parents about their children. Then we paste this. So that's it. And then this one still, remember, it's blue. Now, let's revisit coding. The first rule of coding is that we only code information that's important to our research questions or research objectives. Any other information that's not important to our research objective, we leave it out. Again, here I'm coding and then I'm using color codes to track the questions that these codes came from. So that's how you generate initial codes as the second step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis. Let's go to the third step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for conducting thematic analysis, which is generating initial themes. Remember, we can have all these codes. I want to cut them because I hadn't created a folder. I want to go to codes, create new folder, call this initial codes. Then I want to come in here and paste all the codes I made. And then I want to go create a new folder, call this preliminary themes, okay? I go get the initial codes, all of them, I paste them in my new folder. This is important for housekeeping, so paste them. I'm doing this kind of copy-paste thing because I want to keep tracking every step I take to analyze my data. Now you can see I have my codes which are color-coded. Let's investigate the codes in red. What do they mean? How can we form themes? We look for a pattern of shared meaning between these codes, and now we can try to learn something. This code is partnership between school and parents, holistic partnership between school and parents, creating a community with the school at the center of community. Now let's double click on one of the codes and look at the question that the interviewee asked so that we got these codes. You can see people use the term parental engagement in a lot of different ways. In your experience, what does it mean in school when people talk about parental engagement? You see, for me, it means partnership between school and parents. So this is the subjective meaning of parental engagement according to the participants. Let me type that. Subjective meaning of parental engagement according to the participants. You can see, although I'm doing inductive analysis, the questions that were asked in the interview will play a significant role in the establishment of my preliminary themes. So right-click here on the blank space, new code. This is a theme, this is not a code, and I'll show you how we make it a code. So after I create that, I'm going to drag all the codes with a red color code, okay? So red, and then right-click, click on aggregate coding from children. And now we have one preliminary theme there. Let's look at the second batch of codes, the blue ones. What do they talk about? They talk about social community-based event phone calls, having informal in-person chats with parents about their children. Those are, if you remember, these are the second one. We coded them in blue. Types of parental engagement that are most effective. So, effective types of parental engagement. I copy that, then I come here, new code, create, then I paste that. Remember, these are the codes in blue. They talk about effective types of parental engagement. Right click, aggregate coding from children. Now look, I have my preliminary themes. These are two of my themes. So that's the third step of Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis, which is generating preliminary or provisional or initial themes. Let's move to the fourth step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for conducting thematic analysis. The fourth step is revising and reviewing the themes. Now we are going to copy these themes, Control A, and I go to codes, new folder, I call this final or revised. Click OK. And I want to copy everything here first, okay? So that's it. Now I'm going to look at this. Who did I call this theme? Do the codes fit with the theme? Subjective meaning of parental engagement according to the participants. So I can see like this can be participants' subjective meaning of parental engagement. I can type that. Participants' subjective meaning of parental engagement. So delete the first title, add a second. That's how you review, revise your codes, name them well, okay? That's the fourth step of Braun and Clarke. And also the other one, effective types of parental engagement. That's okay. So if I did for all the 2 transcripts, I would have so many themes I would have to revise and rename. Let's move to the fifth step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis, which is defining and naming themes. So I'm going to right click on the themes, go to code properties and put a description here. Participant subjective meaning of parental engagement. This included the participant's own definition of parental engagement. Then I can copy that and paste it in the description. Remember, we are adding description for the themes. Then we have another code property, effective types of parental engagement. This theme represents the parental engagement approaches that the participants find to be most effective. You see? Now I'll add that description. If you look at code properties, you can see the description. Now that's how you conduct the fifth step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step process for thematic analysis, which is defining and naming themes. We have added clear names and descriptions for all our themes. Now, the final step of the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis is coming up with a findings report. A findings report is made up of code, subthemes, and themes that are brought together through a narrative that clearly explain the main issues that came out when conducting either semi-structured or regular interviews. Now, I've already done the report, as you can see, writing the findings report. In my findings report, the first thing that I do is highlight the data analysis process, which is the process I'm showing you right now, the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis. And now I'll get tables like this. Don't worry about visuals. I will also link a visualization video here. So go check it out on how I draw this mind map, how I draw this table. But it's easy. What I normally do is I'll go to my NVivo. If you Control A and export, you're going to export an Excel with the coding structure. I can actually put that in the document and see what we have. Now, this is the coding structure. So any table you see in my report, I got it from that code list. This is a short video that shows you in depth how to conduct inductive thematic analysis, such as the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis, where you go familiarize with the data, generate initial code, generate initial themes, review and refine themes, define and name themes, and finally write the findings report like this. Basically, this is the complete work. You can see I have so many codes, I have so many preliminary themes, and at least 5 main themes. Now, I am aware that I've not gone through the report one by one, but I'm going to attach it. I'll share a link. Remember, I provide done-for-you data analysis services and consulting services for any problem or challenge related to NVivo. So check the link and email in the description and talk to me right away. Thank you.